Um, I guess I'm certainly okay with it. I'm not quite as familiar with what exactly legally changes would have to be made specifically, but if that is the will of the commission, I'm perfectly okay carrying the message.
Commissioner Chapman.
With regard to stand your ground, it essentially changes the burden of proof, and it requires the victims, or the prosecution to deny and prove that a person wasn't acting in self-defense. That changes the entire burden of proof, which basically opens the door for vigilantism and racial profiling type vigilantism. And that's why, from a former criminal defense attorney's standpoint, it has really resulted in acquittals of people who are drug dealers. It's resulted in acquittals not just of people chasing black kids, but people who initiate violence and then use violence to defend themselves after they've been the initiator. That's a different standard than common law has. There used to be a duty to retreat, and this gets away from the duty to retreat from violence and actually promotes the use of violence.
Maybe this question for you. How many states do you roughly have? Is it like half and half, 30, a third?
Couldn't begin to answer that question.
What did, and can you, was this handled in your committee?
Yes.
In the league? And did the league take a position on it?
It was a position taken. It wasn't from the league standpoint. It was the elected.
From the committee?
From the committee. Okay.
I mean, I guess I would say if it's something the league would take on. I'm not comfortable really knowing enough about the issue, but if the league is going to endorse it, I mean, I would be fine with it.
This came from the league's Black Caucus.
Okay. I would like a little more. Like I said, I'm not a criminal defense attorney. I'm not a prosecutor, and I'm not a vigilante usually. So I would probably want to know a little more, but I would be fine putting it on there.
Yeah, I agree. I think this has been elevated to of great import all over the country, regardless of what side you're on with this. But this has risen to a level where I think we really need to deal with it, and I'm willing to put that down and see what happens with it, because it is a hot item right now, and we need to pay attention to it.
Yeah, I'm probably going to be the lone vote. While obviously this is going to be our consensus on our legislative agenda, I do agree with stand our ground. It has prevented people from being victims just as more often than some of the isolated cases that are mentioned. Having the right to defend yourself and not have to retreat in your own home is something that definitely is something I think every Floridian ought to have and every citizen in this community should have. It's been used a number of times in this community, and for justfully so. I think it also puts a burden not as heavy on the prosecution to go after things, and I think it gives the citizens a right to defend themselves in that aspect. But I realize I'm the lone. I'm not going to go on any further about that. So,
thank you.
Can I correct one mistake? There's never been a duty to retreat in your own home. There's never been a duty to retreat. That's always been the self-defense.
I think it depends on what you call your home at. Like if the woman was accosted at to go into the restroom, she wouldn't have to retreat. That's not her home either, but I understand that. Obviously, we're moving on. We have these 4 issues by consensus.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have a problem. Ms. Natalie, for these 4 issues, and you'll get some verbiage back?
Yes. Vice Mayor, if you can forward to me a copy of the letter. I wasn't able to attend the League of Cities conference, so that would be helpful.
Also, I would ask, I guess, probably, we all get to hand a little pamphlet over to our legislators, but for the most part, you have a 2, maybe 3 issue window. So if the commission's will, there's some way to sort of prioritize these, that would be good for somebody like me to know, so that I can do my job more effectively. That would be good.
we need to prioritize these?
It would be, I think it's a good idea. I mean, normally, if you read the Word document that is supplied by the legislature on how to communicate effectively with your legislator, you don't get 18 issues to talk about. You get a very
Yeah.
shallow window. Imagine people with less of an attention span than me. So
I know.
that's
Yeah.
that's what you got. So it would just be better for me. Again, I don't have to agree with everything that's on this list. It's my job to advocate for the city. So it would be, I would appreciate that if you all would sort of come up with what's the most important, or two or three important things. The rest can be on a document somewhere.
Commissioners, are we done with item A1? Do we have more comment? Okay, moving on to A3.